Jesse Woodson James was the most feared and adored Western outlaw that early industrial America has ever seen. He ravaged the Great Plains of the West with countless robberies, heists, and his relentless murders of anyone that stood in his way. Jesse not only had an interesting childhood, but also lived a courageous life as an outlaw, along with being influential in today's society. Jesse James was glorified and even considered a hero to many of America's early pioneers. He was very influential back in the olden days when Jesse James still walked the earth, and he is still influencing people in today's world. The story of Jesse James is quite interesting. Is a quite interesting one. And so his story should keep being told to help people understand the significance of the legend of the most infamous Western outlaw in American history. Jesse Woodson James was described as many things in his lifetime. Some people viewed Jesse as a vicious murderer that killed without mercy. Others thought of him as a heroic Robin Hood. Whatever you decide to think of him is your choice, but this whole story starts off when Jesse was born on a day in 1847 in Clay County, Missouri. Jesse had 3 fully related siblings, and that his older brother was Franklin James, and his younger sister was Susanna Laviana James. When Jesse was just 2 years old, his father, Robert S. James, abandoned his family and moved to California for the gold rush. Jesse's mother, Zerelda, quickly remarried. Jesse and Franklin did not like their stepfather at all. It is not confirmed, but it is said that Jesse and Franklin's stepfather was an excessive drinker and violently beat them regularly. I got this from the article Outlaw Jesse James is Born. These beatings are what gave Jesse his revenge-driven mindset and his cold-blooded, merciless killing attitude. Jesse's stepfather was an important influence on why Jesse became what he did, and there were many more reasons. He and Franklin got their first taste of blood and killing when they joined William Quantrill's malicious Missouri guerrilla fighting force. It was there in the Confederate Army where Jesse and Frank became expert marksmen and learned their fighting skills. In August 1863, Jesse participated in the heartless murder of 25 unarmed Union soldiers. After the war ended, many ex-soldiers didn't go back to the same job that they had before the war. They sought fun and enjoyment instead of earning the living of a boring Missouri farmer. Jesse and Frank joined a ragtag group of criminals made up of ex-soldiers and common thieves. With that group, Jesse and Frank staged their first daylight bank robbery ever in American history with this group of hoodlums and made off with a hefty bounty of $57,000. Making a living using guns and fear as a tool gave the James boys an undeniable thrill and an excitement that they could not resist. The group of bank robbing brothers became known as the James Younger Gang. The James Younger Gang was a notorious, ruthless gang in the 1960s. They were located in Missouri. Most of their unlawfulness centered on robberies. The gang consisted of the James brothers, Jesse James, and his older brother, Alexander Frank James. Sometimes the younger brothers, Jim, John, Bob, and Cole Younger, would join their gang temporarily. Other members would be a part of the gang at one time or another. These included John Jarrett, who was Jesse's brother-in-law, Kel Miller, Arthur McCoy, Matthew Nelson, Charlie Pitts, and Bill Cadwell. But on April 3rd, 1982, Jesse James's robbing and killing spree would come to a tragic end. Hungry for notoriety and the $10,000 reward money promised to him by the Missouri governor, Thomas T. Crittenden, fellow gang member Robert Ford decided to betray James and murder him in cold blood. Jesse Woodson James was described as a lot of very different things during his short lifespan. Even though his life was relatively short, he still managed to install fear into the lives of early American people just by hearing his name. Jesse James' life story should keep on being told generation after generation to preserve the death-defying, outrageous legend of the most fearful outlaw in American history.